Zamir Telecom is a UK-based company. The company's shown immense growth with estimated turnover of $50 million in 2013. It was ranked among the fastest-growing UK tech companies in the private sector in the Sunday Times Tech Track 100 in 2011 and 2012. From its humble beginnings in a one-room apartment to its headquarters in the London Docklands, the company's succeeded many challenges and established its current global presence. In the last few years, Zamir Telecom has expanded its operations across the globe. The company now has a presence in 5 continents. Zamir Telecom has made a significant contribution to the UK economy by creating jobs, employing more than 100 people. During 2007, Zamir Telecom was looking for a joint venture opportunity in South Asia and Bangladesh. There was only one government organisation in Bangladesh, BTTB, which could provide an international telecom interconnection with international carriers. Zamir Telecom started doing business with BTTB in 2007. BTTB was converted into BTCL in July 2008. They had a lot of constraints involving a connectivity issue with small companies. With the initiation of this joint venture, a new window of opportunity opened for BTCL. Before this partnership, BTCL had a small-scale business. Inbound international calls in Bangladesh were limited, but Zamir Telecom is the pioneer which brought new technology to Bangladesh. The technology helped BTCL boost its business and bring in more revenue. With the new system, Bangladesh expatriates found it cheaper and easier to call their loved ones back home. So what happened to the harmonious relationship of these two growing companies that they now find themselves standing against each other in court? What is the role of Bangladesh's Post and Telecommunication Minister Latif Siddique in setting two companies apart and putting a hold on the Bangladesh telecom industry's growth and Zamir Telecom's operations in Bangladesh? Before 2007, BTCL was reeling because of its infrastructural issues and the dominance of grey market. After 2007, small companies managed to connect with BTCL through Zamir Telecom. As a result, BTCL's market share went up dramatically. To eradicate the illegal market and meet the market demand, Bangladesh Telecommunications Regulatory Commission issued 3 more IGW licenses in February 2008. Banglatrack, Mir Telecom and Novotel, each one an IGW license, bringing the count to 4 providers in total. BTRC set a fixed sale price for all providers, which was 3 cents per minute. No one could sell below the government's fixed rate under any circumstance, and no one was allowed to give discounts. The 3 new IGWs introduced into the market meant more competition for BTCL. Whoever wanted to connect with BTCL had to spend huge extra money for the interconnection. Other IGWs apart from BTCL didn't have that problem. Consequently, BTCL suffered a dramatic loss in traffic. Unlike its new competitors, BTCL didn't have any international base. They also lacked a next-generation gateway, which has both TDM and VoIP technology in a single box. BTCL required a huge investment to expand their international presence, which is something they were not prepared for. BTCL felt they needed some solution that could help them compete with other IGWs. They were not willing to spend the required amount to bring them to the other IGW's level, and didn't have the option for an office outside Bangladesh. At that time, Zamir Telecom Limited proposed the prospect of becoming BTCL's point of presence, POP, partner. Later, in 2008, BTCL invited all of its international carriers to bid for the POP partnership. Among others, Tata from India, Belgacom from Belgium, and Singapore Telecom from Singapore participated in that tender. The winning bidders were Zamir Telecom and an American company called Genusis. Genusis ended up withdrawing their bid, which left Zamir Telecom as the only POP for BTCL. According to the POP agreement, BTCL would pay a 5% service charge to Zamir Telecom for aggregating the calls on behalf of BTCL. Zamir Telecom would make the infrastructure, cover the marketing side, and represent BTCL in the international telecom arena. Zamir Telecom would be connected with BTCL via TDM. Zamir Telecom would have their own IP gateway technology so that all incoming carriers can be connected with them via IP or TDM. Zamir Telecom would be doing the marketing for BTCL. Zamir Telecom would collect the bills on behalf of BTCL. Zamir Telecom would also demultiplex E1 circuits for different bilateral clients of BTCL. In simple terms, Zamir Telecom would do everything in its power to bring traffic to the BTCL network, from marketing to creating the required infrastructure. The aim was to make BTCL service the best among others in terms of quality and cost. Zamir Telecom invested a significant amount of time and money into building an international IP next-generation network in order to aggregate traffic for the BTCL from all over the world. Zamir Telecom increased its infrastructure to cater for more than 16 STM1 capacities. Zamir Telecom attended many events, conferences and exhibitions to promote and explore new opportunities for BTCL. Zamir Telecom also took steps to create a niche market for BTCL in Europe, North America, Australia and the Middle East. This was done by creating Simple Call Mobile, the Simple Call International Calling Service, IP telephony service and land phones for direct calls to Bangladesh through BTCL. The POP agreement amounted to millions of dollars worth of investments for Zamir Telecom. This investment opened the door to a potential billion-dollar business opportunity for BTCL. Zamir Telecom's huge investment brought maximum traffic back to BTCL's network. Zamir Telecom had less capacity compared to most bilateral carriers. However, in the lifetime of the agreement, Zamir Telecom has provided more minutes to BTCL than any other carrier. In just the last quarter of 2013, Zamir Telecom brought more than 146 million minutes to BTCL, which is more than any other client BTCL brought in. Because of its relationship with Zamir Telecom and the investment Zamir Telecom has made to make it work, BTCL is now back on top and has the maximum market share in terminating inbound international calls. After the new government came to power in 2009, a number of unscrupulous businessmen entered into a bilateral agreement with BTCL. Their plot was nothing other than to evade bills from BTCL. BTCL infringed on government rule by allowing discounts to other carriers ranging from 2.85 cents to 2.75 cents. The legal rate set by BTRC was 3 cents. The backgrounds of these new carriers weren't checked properly. In many instances, they provided forged bank guarantees, but BTCL continued to do business with them and allowed them more chances to prove their credibility. Many of these companies produced their first bill worth more than their initial bank guarantee and security money. This means they siphoned their deposit money from the government treasury back into their own pocket. Through meter tampering, these companies gobbled up another 1,000 to 2,000 crore taka. BTCL employees configured half of the STM and sneakily enabled the rest. Calls passing from these undeclared lines are recorded at the call data record, CDR. These employees then delete data from the CDR, which caused the government a massive loss. None of the carriers joined with BTCL after 2009 had any good intentions or commitment to fair trade. Later, all of them disappeared, but the government didn't have any means to recover the money. The government lost more than 1,000 crore taka in this process. Interestingly, later on, most of them became involved with IGW of other telecom business in Bangladesh. Digitech, Shaheen World, and were among them. Zamir Telecom didn't get any discount as a bilateral agreement holder. The rules should be the same for everyone. If other partners get a discount, then Zamir Telecom is also entitled to it. As a bilateral agreement holder, Zamir Telecom requested for these discounts several times. They wanted similar treatment like the other bilateral partners. Every time they raised this, BTCL verbally agreed but never followed up in writing or with action. BTCL wrongly claimed that Zamir Telecom owes them money and didn't pay their bill after 2010. Zamir Telecom's accounts tell a different story, showing that they are actually up to date. With BTCL, other carriers could raise a complaint if they had a 1% discrepancy. Zamir Telecom always got the short end of the stick, and for them the threshold was a staggering 3%. According to the agreement, Zamir Telecom always submitted their CDR data to BTCL. In return, BTCL never solved this problem, or provided their CDR data to Zamir Telecom. BTCL proclaimed that it is their policy to treat all of its customers equally, something they've mentioned on various occasions. They repeatedly claimed that they never gave anybody any discount or any extra facility. They also claimed that they never discriminated any party. But their practice tells us a different story. In March 2010, without notice or warning, BTCL disconnected Zamir Telecom's circuits. This was after Zamir Telecom complied with all of its obligations under both the bilateral and POP agreements. Zamir Telecom asked BTCL many times for the reason for this disconnection. BTCL always replied that they've done it under the directive of BTRC. Zamir Telecom asked for the written version of it, but BTCL informed Zamir Telecom that BTRC gave a verbal instruction to do so, and they only replied verbally. When UK Trade and Investment, UKTI, intervened, BTCL replied that Zamir Telecom is involved with illegal VoIP, which is not true, because Zamir Telecom doesn't have any alliance in Bangladesh other than BTCL. If any illegal activities happened in Bangladesh, then BTCL is liable for it. The court understood the logic behind this argument and on the 22nd of April 2010 asked BTCL to restore the line for Zamir Telecom. They only did this after the High Court Division of the Supreme Court of Bangladesh ordered it. The court also ordered the start of the arbitration process. 2 years later, BTCL claimed they severed Zamir Telecom's line because of their unpaid bills. Here, BTCL contradicted their previous claim where they falsely accused Zamir Telecom of being involved with illegal VoIP business. This goes against the principle of contemporaneous evidence. In 2013, under the pressure of the court, BTCL finally provided the 5-year CDR data from 2008 to 2013. The High Court Division of the Supreme Court of Bangladesh granted a mandatory injunction in favour of Zamir Telecom that BTCL's connection with Zamir Telecom must be reinstated and order for status quo to remain connected till the settlement of arbitration. Arbitration Tribunal, consisting of 3 Bangladeshi former Chief Justices of Bangladesh, reinforced the injunction of the High Court to keep connection alive till arbitration decision is reduced. But still, in a blatant show of power, the current minister in charge of Post and Telecommunication, Latif Siddique, ordered the disconnection of Zamir Telecom circuits on the 20th of March 2014 without any notice or reason. This is an act of unprecedented contempt of court, which is the highest seat of law in Bangladesh. Since the disconnection of the circuit from BTCL, Zamir Telecom tried to contact all the higher officials of BTCL. No one gave any acceptable reason for the disconnection, except that it had been disconnected on the orders of Latif Siddique. Because of this, Zamir Telecom is facing significant financial and reputational losses every minute. Zamir Telecom is suffering losses as a result of unlawful disconnection of circuit lines from BTCL on the orders of Latif Siddique. The bottom line is, there is no rule of law in Bangladesh at this moment. Respect for the law and order has disappeared because of politicians like Latif Siddique. Nepotism and favouritism are the only way of doing business in Bangladesh. The foreign investment landscape in Bangladesh worsened rapidly after the current Awami League came into power. Bangladesh is not a safe place for foreign investment. As a UK company, Zamir Telecom followed all the due procedures and met its legal obligations. But Zamir Telecom's disconnection by BTCL shows the real colour and the lawless face of Bangladesh at present.